if any of what I'm saying or what Shannon says as far as money's related triggers you at all, and you're like, oh, well, that's easy for them to say. If any shit like that pops up, you got work to do. And that's me saying that lovingly, because that was me forever. Like, oh, that must be nice. Oh, she must have, her parents must have money. Or like those comments, like I was so judgy, like not on purpose. I didn't mean to be mean in my own head towards people, but like, that's how I was raised.
Hey, Jess, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Great, thank you. I'm so excited for this conversation. You're somebody that I definitely wanted to talk to for a while on the show. And we met in a mastermind, and you were actually my coach in that mastermind. And one of the things I love about Jess, you guys, is she is really no bullshit and really just very direct and to the point, which is what I like. And and I really love your style of, I mean, really, there's really no fluff around it. You'll tell it like it is. And I appreciate that so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I've always appreciated people showing up like that for me in my life, because we have friends to tell us what we want to hear. We may even have parents. I didn't have a parent like that. I had a parent who was the exact opposite. I was coached my whole goddamn life, but that was okay, because she reminded me, I'm here to help you, learn, grow, do. And now that I'm older and I'm a parent, I fully understand that. And so I think busy entrepreneurs, people that listen to the show, people that are tuning in to learn and grow, they don't want the fluff. They want to know the plan, how to get there, the blueprint, like just rip the Band-Aid off.
Absolutely. And so you are primarily a coach, and I coach, not a cheerleader is how I would put it. You're a coach for beauty entrepreneurs. Can you tell us about sort of the different spectrum of who you've helped over your years, and a little bit of your history in the business itself, so we can get to know you a bit better?
Yeah. So I started in the beauty industry when I was 19 years old, fresh out of high school. I went to beauty school for 3 months, hated it, quit, went to college for a year, failed my first English. I thought I wanted to be an English professor. I had a terrible teacher. He ruined it for me. I am now writing my first book, side note. I will send it to him. But I realized in that year away from beauty school that I did want to go back, and I was a year older, all those good things. So I went back with a fresh perspective, new classmates, new goals and a vision. And I think, like with anything, if you don't have a goal and a vision, why would you do the thing? Why would you take the class? Why would you go to school for it? So I dove all the way in. I was committed. I was obsessed, and I got a job in a really upscale salon in San Diego. And that was the start of me being mentored by people that I highly respected, and was like, wow, I had no idea that you could be this in this career. So, going to college was always something my mom was like, absolutely, I'll pay for you to go to 10 years of medical school, you name it, you're in. I said beauty school, and she was like, I'm not paying for that. So it was almost like this, like, well, I'll show you. And so I don't know if you guys listening are like that, or if you've always been that one to be like, I can prove anybody anything, I can do all the things. I was like, and I know Shannon's shaking her head. She's like, yeah, I feel you. Like, that's just, if that's who you are, that's who you are. You understand. But I made it my commitment. I worked, 6 days a week, 10, 12-hour days. And I saw these other people showing up in their business like that too. And I saw the amount of money that was being, passed back and forth between clients and the services and all of that. And I'm like, this is a real career. This isn't, I'm just a hairdresser bullshit that I was fed. Now, there were businesses like that, like in any business, that, they're making just enough to get by, but these were a different breed of people. And this is when I knew truly this was my passion. This is where I wanted to stay. And so, like I said, I was so fortunate to have great mentors take me under their wing to teach me technical stuff, but also to learn how to give a great client experience so that it would set me apart from other people doing the same, quote, technical skills that I was doing. So like me and her could be giving the same exact haircut, but why would someone book with me over that person? So I learned those early tools that helped me become the hairdresser that I was, and grow really quickly to become a 6-figure stylist once it was my turn to jump on the floor within the first 6 months of my business, which wasn't normal for the industry. So moving forward, I had thought, okay, that's it. I made 6 figures, which was around 100, 120. I'm like, I made it. I hit that glass ceiling, because that was the headspace that I was in from where I grew up as to what, quote, making it was in this industry. And so I sat there for a really long time, and I wasn't aware that my value was dependent on my education, and that I could continue to charge more, and that I could continue to charge for the education I was investing in. So that's where I started to realize there had to be a shift. And that was about 10 years into my career. And then I had the fortunate experience to be asked to become an educator. And that's when I really saw the next step that I could take my career. So I was trained by Bumble and Bumble in New York City. I got to travel to Italy. I got to go in the back end of Davaness, which is an incredible company in Italy, and just really learn what it looks like to run a company like that and to be an affiliate. That was the first like learning of what an affiliate was, to promote another company and to really learn the education that was going to set me apart. Again, set me apart. That's what I keep trying to showcase to the people that are in our membership. We have a membership called Behind the Beauty Brand, where my partner, Laren, and I, she's all backends and systems. She's never been a technical service provider, but she's always run the back end of stuff. And me being behind the chair, growing assistants, being an assistant, starting from scrubbing toilets all the way to owning a salon. So, seeing all of the ways that you can diversify yourself in this industry, I think is what I finally realized there's more to what I could teach. And circa 10 years later, I sold my salon and stepped fully into, helping people realize that they could not just be a hairdresser and be making money, that they could create a brand and a business, even if it's inside someone else's business, but they needed to set themselves apart. And what did you need to do in order to grow that and scale it and sustain it, so you don't feel burnt out, overwhelmed, all that. So that's a synopsis of like my career. But yeah, I've been coaching now for the last probably 3 years. And in the mastermind that we talked about, that was the first awakening that I had, that I needed to truly invest more than a couple $100 into a one-day class. I needed to fully dive in to see what I didn't know, because I never went to traditional college for business. And 20 years later, it wouldn't have mattered even if I had gone 20 years prior. Like, things have changed, marketing online, online coaching, online everything. I was a brick and mortar, talk to people to get clients. I wasn't a, market yourself on social media. That shit, I resisted that for as long as I possibly could. I still resisted a little bit, but once you realize the power that showing up can do for your business, it's a game changer. You lean into it.
Well, I did go to business school 15, 20 years ago, and you are correct.
Okay. That's good. Correct. I just tell myself that story, so I don't know if I am correct.
You are 100% correct. We never learned any of this stuff and to be fair, like the iPod had just come out. so we were not exactly, Facebook came out, but it was very, old school. So you mentioned something that I really hung on to in that history there, which was that you had this self-imposed ceiling of like 100K being the tip of the mountain. And then you probably got to the top of that mountain and realized, oh, there's another mountain up there. Like, once you get there, you realize that you haven't hit the tippity top yet, and that you don't feel like you have necessarily. Do you find that how you felt when you got there, is that common among other beauty entrepreneurs that you're talking to? And how are they breaking through that or past that? And how did you?
I would say my age, which I'm 41, so my generation, or if you started when I did about 15, 20 years ago, I would say yes to that answer. If you were asking someone who is 5-6 years into their career right now, I would say no. I would say they would have these dreams and goals of being, closer to a 7-figure stylist with, a brand, a line, maybe an extension line, their own salon, like a team. Like, that's just so much more talked about now. And it looks like so much more in reach because people are doing it. What I think, the shutdown did for us was really pull that curtain back to see we are important to our clients' lives. Like, people need us, want us, will do anything to get us to touch their hair. They don't, it up-leveled us all as a collective, and really shifted the way that people were able to charge and the experiences that they were giving. Because I came from a place where it was work more to make more. It wasn't work smarter, not harder. It wasn't diversify what you did. It was almost like niche down. When I started, you had to pick, do you want to be a cutter or do you want to be a colorist? And now people do a multitude of things, but a lot of people have dove into one specific thing, like extensions are huge right now. And these girls are making $2,000, $3,000 a day. So the numbers between, that's what we used to make a week. And that is such a difference in income and what they can accomplish. So I feel like, yes, that number, and the reason I know the answer to that question is because during the shutdown is when I first created my 6-figure stylist program. 6 figures, y'all know, is 100,000 to 999,000. There are 6 numbers in all of those numbers. Now, you guys know that if you listen to a podcast like this, but it's so funny because I got people reaching out to me that said, oh, I already make 6 figures, but I need a business coach. And I'm like, honey, so you make $100,000 on the nose, or like, what are we talking about? Yeah, I make about that. The number like was irrelevant to them, even though I had to explain, like, did you want to hit 200? Were you looking to, like, what were you looking to do? And that's when we started to peel back, like, the stories we told ourselves around, if once I hit six figures, being $100,000 in this industry, like, I've quote made it. And again, I sat there for so long. So I know what that feels like, because I was so inundated with the doing of knocking out client after client. I didn't think, well, maybe if I raise my prices a little bit, I could work a little bit less. Like, it's the stories we tell ourselves and the conditioning, like whatever environment you were raised in the industry, like you kind of usually stay around that. Or now what I see is people are outgrowing the bubble, the fish tank that they're in, and they're ready to be the small fish in the big pond versus the big fish in the little pond.
I love that. And I think that's what people should be trying to shoot for. It's almost like being the dumbest person in the room concept. Like I want to be the best position to grow where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is holding folks back, especially on the money side of things, when it comes to really enabling their growth or opening up their mind to these multi six-figure businesses or their potential? What do you think is the biggest thing holding them back or getting in their way?
Well, we all have preconditioned, like, belief systems that were poured into us as children. So there's that work that needs to be done. And if any of what I'm saying or what Shannon says as far as money's related triggers you at all, and you're like, oh, well, that's easy for them to say. If any shit like that pops up, you got work to do. And that's me saying that lovingly, because that was me forever. Like, oh, that must be nice. Oh, she must have, her parents must have money. Or like those comments, like I was so judgy, like not by on purpose. I didn't mean to be mean in my own head towards people, but like, that's how I was raised. My mom didn't have much when I was a kid, and she brought herself up by her bootstraps by working a shit ton. And my mom was somebody who, when she made it, I was like, why don't you move out of here and move into a big, and she was like, no, I'd rather be the big fish in the small pond. So that was the mindset I was told. We don't have money for that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Where do you think we're going to get money to pay for that kind of stuff? And now I see the next generation being like, that's what I want. That's the lifestyle I want. That's the career I want. How do I get there? And that's why they're investing in business coaches and people who have done it before them to get there quicker. The fact of even hiring a coach or a mentor really didn't exist to people in my industry before. It was like maybe a mentor to teach you how to do hair, but not in the scheme of like growing your business into something that you might want like that. Like anything is possible right now.
Yeah. It's almost like if we pour into the technical side of what we do and we do it better, people will come, as opposed to investing in the business aspects, right? Of building a business. It's like, well, if I get better at my craft or I add more to my craft, I will make more. And that's not always the case, right?
Right. And I think what a lot of people in the industry don't do is they don't then educate their clients that, hey, I've just spent $1,500 to learn this new method, or I just spent this much money or this much of my time in order to do this more efficiently for you or better for you. Like for me, I foil really, really fast. I cut hair really, really fast. My clients are generally in and out of my chair in an hour and a half, less than 2 hours. So there's so many models that people have chose as a way to charge, whether it's now hourly, based off of the exact services that they're doing, the amount of hair, whatever it might be. I think for me, in order to get to the number that I wanted, I had to figure out that number, and then I had to reverse engineer how I was going to make it. And that's where like our mentor talks a lot about what is your hourly value? What can you be doing to earn money versus what can you diversify out, automate, delegate, eliminate, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. So for me, I found that number, and it took the emotional part out of it, because as a service provider of somebody who touches people for a living, it's very personal. And I find a lot of people get in their own way about charging. Oh, yeah. Susie's been with me a really long time, even though I really should upcharge her because XYZ, we don't do it. And so that's where I see people getting in their own way and limiting their income due to things like that. You knock off a couple $100 throughout the week, you add that shit up, that's 10, 20 grand you could have made. So totally. What could you have invested that $20,000 in every year? So looking at things that way takes the emotional part out of it. And it just simplifies, like, this is what it costs me to do business, and the right clients will find me and pay me what I'm worth.
Right. And as a customer of a hairdresser, esthetician, and some of those things, I recall every time a hairdresser had to raise their prices, it was like prepping me for a breakup conversation, how much they felt the need to explain why, or that it was coming. Like there was a long drawn out, hey, Shan, I got to talk to you. listen, we've had a lot of really, unexpected costs lately, this, that. I go, are you charging more? Yeah, fine. I don't even know what you charge now. I just swipe my credit card. I don't even care. I like what you do and whatever. You know what it is? They hang on to the idea that we care that much. And here's the thing, if you deliver the right value, the right experience, to your point, and we are loyal, because I mean, that's a loyalty with a hairdresser or someone who like touches your body, right? We don't just go to anybody. We pick our people. And it's so important to understand that like your value is in trust. Okay. So, and we trust you. We also trust you that like you're going to charge a fair price. And if somebody really gets that uppity about it, I go, then maybe you don't want them as a client anyway, if they're that price sensitive and they don't see your value in you, but in a transactional thing. And I find that with accountants too. I actually feel the very same way. The way you're describing it is interesting because I feel it relates to what we do as well. That we we also feel an immense pressure in our industry, and I'm sure in beauty as well. I work with a lot of beauty entrepreneurs too. And there's this immense pressure also that, well, the person hired me. If I hire someone to help, it will diminish the service. My customers won't be happy. They did pay for me. I don't know if they can do it like me. How often do you hear that?
Okay, so I'm actually going to write that down so I don't forget. We're going to talk about assistance and bringing in help. And then we're also going to talk about the fact that my best friend does what you do. So I totally get you're in a very personal business too. So if anybody works on the side that Shannon works on and you're dealing with people that are in the industry, like either hair, skin, any service provider, massage, tattoo, whatever it might be that comes to you for business, you have to remember just because you can see their finances doesn't mean you put them in the situation they're in. You're still valued at whatever it is that you charge. And just because you can get their taxes or their accounting or their whatever done efficiently in a time manner doesn't mean you charge less for because it didn't take you 3 days or 16 hours, right? Charge for what you're doing versus charge for how long it takes you to do it. Because if I did that, everybody would be getting a discount because I'm so fast. But to the point that you talked about bringing in help, when I worked at a big salon, I was double booking. I was doing up to 12 clients a day with an assistant. Those clients have never been so cared for, never been so taken care of, never not needed for anything, and I would fine tune it and tailor it to what they needed. Like if, Susie really loved that I shampooed her, I tried to make it a point that I would be the one to shampoo her. If, Michelle really liked the way I blow dried, I would take that into consideration and flip flop with the assistant. So it's not this is how I do it, too bad, so sad. If you're our service provider, I'm going to get some shit for this probably because I've seen different things posted on social media. There are the hardcore people, coaches, whomever, telling people this is how you raise your prices, put it on social media, make a big announcement. Also slightly berate your clients on social media. If one person canceled or no-showed you, make sure you make a statement online and talk shit about how people we all know canceling last minute is fucked up. I don't think we need to put a PSA of a goddamn post on your story to remind your personal clients. If you had a beef with one of your clients and that's what they did to you, you let them know. You don't need to let the other 96% of your clients who have never done that to you know. They don't need to get that lashing from you because everyone's going to take what you're saying personal because you're one to them, but your clients are many to you. So take into consideration the things that you say and how you present yourself. I put up a price sheet. I'm old school. If I raise my prices, I put it up right on my station right there in a nice little framed thing. There's no questions on there. What a client did, she hadn't been to me in probably 6 months yesterday. She came in. I know damn well she saw the prices. She looks at me and she goes, have your prices changed? I'm going to Venmo you when I get home or PayPal you or whatever she does. Because she refuses to write me a check or do a credit card. I said, fine. I said, yeah, they're right there on the sheet. And she looked, she said, okay. She had already seen them. She was probably just hoping I'd say, oh, just pay me your normal prices. Who knows what she was trying to get me to say. Maybe she didn't see the paper. I don't know. But for me, that allows someone to ask me questions. That allows for them, if you're observant, if you're looking in the mirror, you see the price sheet. So if you sit down and you haven't seen me in 6 months and that doesn't feel good, that's something you should address as the client. Now, some people feel differently that they should be babied or coddled or I just wanted to show you, Shannon, I've raised my prices here. Are you okay with this? If you make it a freaking big deal, it's going to be a big deal. But like you said, if they can just see the value, you give them an amazing client experience, they might say, wow, that's about $40 over my budget, but fuck, that was worth it. I might have to stretch my appointments out a few extra weeks to come back all the time, but I'm going to do that because I love getting my hair done with Jess or whoever your stylist is.
Yeah.
So
I think you underestimate beauty entrepreneurs and service providers like that underestimate what we will do to make it work because we want what you have. So it's,
yep.
if we find someone we really like, and that's absolutely true. I have found someone I really like and then stretched out my appointments and said, that's okay. I just need to make sure I'm not going I'll go every 8 weeks instead of 6. And that will cut an appointment down every so often and it'll be fine. And I won't even notice it. And it totally works, but it has to start with just doing it and not having to ask permission or forgiveness for you running your business the way that you need to.
And I promise once you raise your prices, like I didn't lose a single client for one. And for two, the energy exchange at the end of my day, when I see that number from my square from the credit cards drop into my account, I'm all, yep, that feels good. Because I was getting to a point in my career, I mean, you got to imagine after 20 years that making X wasn't doing it for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't lighting me up like it used to. I could make that somewhere else, or I could spend my energy somewhere else. Because now for me, I don't have the obsession with hair anymore. I love to make my clients feel happy, but it's the connection that still turns me on, if you will, and the conversations that I get to have. But it's really about, an energy exchange. And when people start to say words to me, like when we're coaching, I feel burnt out, or I feel overwhelmed, or I feel out of alignment, or, anything to that extent, I'm like, what is not feeling good anymore? And then once we peel back the layers, it's generally like, they don't feel like they're making enough money anymore. So I'm like, well, that's on you. Like, you have to be the one of awareness. You have to listen to your intuition. And how do we shift that? Right? Like, how do you start to bring in more so that it feels good?
So let's talk about, you mentioned managing that energy, right? And for a lot of folks, energy comes in the form of time. So and you just mentioned you had 12 a day with the assistant, you were double booking. And I know that a lot of beauty entrepreneurs are sitting going, I'm double booked, I'm freaking out, I'm at capacity. And I feel like I'm hitting a ceiling with what I can make because I can't handle any more clients. And I think there's 2 variables that are the first things I look for, which is one we just addressed, which is pricing. If you feel like you're at capacity and you're not making what you should, really revisit your pricing, but also time management. What do you have to say about how beauty entrepreneurs manage their time, or how they can do so effectively where they could, again, not burn themselves out and go over capacity, but feel comfortable, like you said, at the end of the day, cashing out that square and going, that feels good.
Right. Well, I know not everyone's going to be like me and want to do multiple things. Like some people who do hair are obsessed with it. It's all they want to do. They don't want to do anything else for work. And it's a hard no. So we'll talk to those people first, people that still want to only do behind the chair work. And that is the only way you want to make money. I would say, sit with that for a second, because there's so many other ways that you can bring in revenue that don't require you to show up and trade time for money. And then B, how can you diversify what you're doing with that one client? Is there other methods that you can get to like work with that client? For me, I was into personal training early on. So in my career, all of my personal training clients came from my clients in the salon. So not only were they my client in the mornings at the gym, they then saw me for their hair appointments. So like I use that same book of business, right? That same client list, if you will, to double down. How else can I get Shannon to buy services from me? What else do I have to offer her? Is it coaching? Can I do extra therapy calls with her? Do I notice that she keeps talking about wanting to lose weight? Can I offer to help her? Maybe I love to meal prep. Maybe I don't know. You can come up with all sorts of ways to like reuse that client, if you will. Not, that sounds terrible, but you guys get what I'm saying. But for the people who are more open and are maybe ready to bring in another stream of income, you also can use those same clients, whether it's bringing in a different product. Like I do a side business called Mon8. I'm sure a lot of people love it, hate it, call it what you will. It supports my business without me having to do anything else. If you have questions, you guys can reach out. I'll happy to answer any questions that has to do with that. If you love nutrition, health, and fitness, when I was competing 10 years ago in bodybuilding, I would talk to my clients about that. I was involved with Isogenics. I would suggest plans for them to do that. So network marketing, as much as it gets a shitbag, name in the industry, like influencer marketing is the exact same thing, right? It's all the same. You get a commission off of what you sell, period. That's all it is. It's a done for you business that all you have to do is talk about it. That's it. Right. Facts. So if there's something you like to talk about, figure out how you can sell it to your client. If you like to talk about, I don't know, lip gloss, figure out a lip gloss company you can sell lip gloss. You want to talk about pens? Talk about pens. So when you can find things that you love to talk about that are easy, because I know I will stigmatize all of us in the industry. We don't like to be salespeople. We don't like to sound salesy, but let me just tell you, at the end of the day, after 20 years, you are your own salesperson. You have to talk about what you do in order to grow your brand and your business. You have to create awareness around what services you provide. Because if you don't create awareness about what services you provide, you really don't have a business.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why Shannon and I have podcasts. It's a way for people to learn what we do and to get to know us.
Exactly.
Right?
And to get to know what other people do as well. And so you mentioned so for that person who wants to stay behind the chair and doesn't want to expand, opening up their minds to expansion. But what about that person who maybe has a variety of different things, but they feel like they just can't get a grip on their calendar, their time, their schedule, and they're just all over the place?
So for me, I had to day block, basically. So time blocking is one thing, day blocking is another thing that I do. So I'm only in the salon one day a week. Thursdays are my day. It's very easy for me to show up that day. I love being in the salon there that day. And when that day is done, I can't wait to like have those couple of days off because I go so hard in that day. I have one day where I record podcasts that are mine. Mondays are my day to record. I prep for them on Sundays. I have a whole ritual Sunday evening with the fire. I write all my notes and then I enjoy that on Monday. There isn't other things. I don't have to shift from being a podcast host to being a podcast guest to being going in the salon to do a client. So for me, that worked really, really well. A mentor of mine taught me that, because if you try to do too many things in one day, you're not really focused on them and you're probably not really prepared for them either. So time blocking what needs to get done and making sure it's done on a particular day. That for me changed everything. And I went from being super unorganized and always feeling scattered and stressed out to I don't feel that way at all anymore. I know what needs to get done. And at the end of the day, it's like not about, oh, I'm not motivated to do that today, or I don't feel like it. Well, fuck it. It's getting done because it's on the list of things that's going to move the needle in my business because my vision for what I want is stronger than my excuse for feeling unmotivated today.
Exactly. And that's one thing that I had to do as well. Up until January, I had a corporate job. You know this because we talked about this. I had a corporate job. I had my business I was building on the side. I wanted to build the podcast up. There were like 5 or 6 dimensions to really. Shannon in general had like 5 or 6 different identities. And I'm not kidding. Every 30 minutes, I was toggling between identities and I was effing exhausted. By the end of the day, I had no energy left for wife because I was everything else to everyone else. And that was the hardest part of the burnout for me. And even though I was never, in a salon running around doing things, booking clients 24/7, when you are shifting your energy, it actually takes a lot to gain momentum to show up in a certain way and then to transition out of that and then into something else. And I actually just talked about this on the podcast where I really struggled with transitioning between identities, right? Like I didn't take a breath and come out of work mode or take a breath and come out of, whatever I was doing and transition into the next thing seamlessly. It was very rapid and exhausting. That honestly, the transitions were the most exhausting part, not even the work.
Oh, I bet. I can totally relate to that. And if you guys have tried to do a couple of different things, you probably can relate to that too. And the thing with that is when you are new at something or when you're shifting, like how we both pivoted you went from your corporate to like pouring yourself into all these other avenues, there's going to be a small window, hopefully it's not too large, where you're going to feel like that. It's just part of the knowingness that like, I got to get through this and sludge through this till I get to the other side. And this is where a lot of people quit and they go back to corporate because it's easier. The starting of something new is hard. Just embrace it. Just know that you got to grit your teeth and you got to get this shit done. Just like if you haven't been in the gym in 6 months or a year, that first workout, not only is it going to suck, you're going to be sore for a while, right? And you're not going to want to go back. So I relate everything to fitness and nutrition because it's so like everyone knows what that feels like to not be able to sit on the toilet after they did legs one time. Like it is now. And like, but you can't change it. Once you're sore, you're sore. There's like nothing you can do about it. But hopefully your why you went to the gym is stronger and you're going to keep showing up. It's the same thing with like starting a podcast. At first you have crickets. No one's listening. You're like, why am I even doing this? Why am I spending money on this? But putting yourself in a beginner position to start something new, if you just time block out, 60 minutes every Monday night, I'm going to work on my thing. Okay, maybe you can give it a whole day. That might feel really good. You can give it a whole day just to say, hey, you're going to move the needle more than if you never started. I'm only at 11,000 downloads for my podcast. I thought in a year and a quarter, I'd be like triple that. And I was down on myself the other day and I was like, what? You're 11,000 further than if you never started. Like exactly. you can shit on yourself for not having it be what you want. Or now I'm recognizing I want more. I want it faster. What do I got to do to show up to play bigger? How do I need to be in order to get the things I just said I wanted? You have to have an emotional like attachment to that outcome. Otherwise, it's really hard to keep showing up in the stuff. And that's what I talk to a lot of my clients about. You know, Laren, my co-founder for Behind the Beauty brand, she's strategy. She's like a manifesting generator. I'm a projector. I was put here to be the guide and to kind of keep encouraging, inspiring, and showing you that you can do it. Like, that's my favorite thing to do, is like hold that space to remind you. And that's why I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go first, even though I'm not the first one to do a podcast, but those that are drawn to my energy and want to work with me will find me through me putting myself out there. And so with any business right now, you have to learn to stand above the noise. And that's what we teach in Behind the Beauty brand. That's what Shannon's doing with the podcast. That's what we always like, creatively come up with ideas of how do we stand out to make our business different than the next person's. So yes. I wanted to touch back on the assisting thing that we talked about, because I think a lot of people struggle with the thought of paying somebody in order to help them, or my clients won't like that, or this, that, whatever. Yeah. Just firsthand experience. I'll talk to you about how much I've enjoyed having an assistant. I've also been in the place of scarcity where my books weren't booked solid. And I was like, well, I can't like commit to paying somebody this hourly rate what if somebody cancels, or what if like I have a slow week, or what if. If you just map it into your budget, and I know that we're in an industry that is not always super consistent. We don't have a salary, right? We don't know at the end of the month how much we're going to make exactly, but you can start to guesstimate. If you keep track of your records, if you have a good accountant tax person, you'll know in your seasoned when's busy, when's slow, when's, you can afford to take all the things. But I'll tell you this, having an assistant keeps you in the learning. When you teach, you relearn. So every time you teach your assistant something, or you're showing them how you like it, or you're then gifting them that education, but you're also gifting yourself the re-education of staying in doing it at that high level so that you can continue to charge more. And, what you're doing is now creating a space where this stylist can potentially take this client who doesn't want to pay you the extra money that you want to charge, and create a space for you to bring in a new person who will pay you that. And just that evolution and that cycle, and me having gone through several assistants over my career, watching them thrive, become six-figure stylists themselves. I mean, A, nothing's more rewarding. And B, like, now you have a plethora of people who like consider you an expert and position you like that and speak well about you. So I say to anybody who's on the cusp and busy enough, like you can book a free call with me. I'd love to talk you through it or about it. It really elevated my business. And I'll tell you, like, my back never hurt. I was always fine when I left at the end of the day. I was never exhausted. Like, they're just there to support you. And if you honestly can pay somebody anywhere between minimum wage, $25 an hour, and you're making $100 an hour, that's a good energy exchange, right? And finding ways now for them to do more for you. Can they shoot video for you? Can they create content for you during the slow periods, right? Especially if you get these younger kids, like, they're smarter, they're clever on their phone, like, put them to work, have them run errands for you. Like, there's so many things that you can have an assistant do that's going to help them. And that's definitely going to help you and give your client the best experience.
Totally. And, everybody wins because they're going to get the right experience. They're going to enjoy working with you, find mentorship, and you can also help shortcut for them lessons you've learned. And you're right. There's nothing more rewarding than bringing someone up and seeing them succeed because of lessons you taught them. I can say that, one of my favorite accomplishments as a business owner is hiring people onto a team is like the most rewarding thing, where I feel like, oh my God, I'm responsible for these other humans and their happiness. And it's high pressure sometimes, but it's also the most rewarding thing. And I don't ever look at it like, oh, well, what am I going to do? Because they cost me money. No, I go, what are they going to do that's going to add value? And what more can I give them that will help move the needle for everybody? Because it truly is a win-win. And that's when the magic happens.
I love that you said that. And that is so true. And if you can just keep in that mindset that how can they're adding more value to your business. You now have a team. If you have an assistant, you have a team. Like, two is always better than one. Everyone loves to get the princess blow dry, I call it, where two people are working on you, two people are toning your hair, two people are glossing, two people are asking you if you want something to drink. Or whenever I get younger clients, I'm always so happy I have my assistant there, because I don't know what the fuck to talk to them about. I'm like, I don't know anything about this or that. And they take over and they have conversation. And it's like the ebb and flow of getting that space is just such an asset.
I love it. So, Jess, I do this with every single guest right before we wrap up. I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions, and then we're going to hear more about how folks can work with you and Laren in the building the beauty brand, because I want to hear more about that. So, number one, what is one investment that you can't live without?
Ooh, okay. Can I give you two? Because one's going to be really surfacey, which are my lashes. It's an investment. Like
It is.
$80. It's like $160 a month. That's one. And then because I care about my appearance, because I want to look, elevated, all the things. The second thing an investment that I can't live without is the investment of myself in the morning, my time to myself.
I like that. What did you learn about money that turned out not to be true?
Oh, there's more than enough to go around. Everybody.
I know you've already named about 18 things in the course of our conversation, but if you were to pick one.
Yeah, then there's enough to go around.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was. I thought only like special people got to be wealthy.
And lastly, what makes you feel like a millionaire?
Ooh, a fucking great outfit. A great outfit, my hair done and my makeup done. Like I'm not super surfacey, but like, I mean, if I want to feel like $1 million, if I want to raise my vibration, if I want to step into a situation with confidence, it's putting my favorite outfit on and like putting myself together.
Love it. So tell our listeners how they can learn more about working with you and with Laren, and how this membership works.
Oh my God. So excited. Like we've been working on this membership. I mean, collectively, the two of us for about 7 months. We just launched it last month. It is an ongoing education membership, basically back pocket coaching. We run it similar to a mastermind. There'll be 3 calls per week, the first 3 Mondays of every month. We'll have Q&A. We'll have a guest expert speaking on things that can help you in your business. And then also the third week will be one-to-one coaching that you can ask any questions that you want from Laren and I and the community, which are other high-level entrepreneurs in the industry. So whether they're suite owners, salon owners, med spa owners, you could be an independent stylist behind the chair. I mean, if it's in the budget, you could be a brand new assistant. Anybody's welcome who is a creative beauty entrepreneur. Even creative content creators can really find a lot of value in this too. Or if you're starting and wanting to build your personal brand, it can be a business brand too, but really we talk a lot about building a personal brand and your business brand in this, and how to stand out above the noise with marketing. So it's called Behind the Beauty Brand. I know Shannon will throw this in the show notes, but we wanted to gift anybody listening 1 free month to join us. That means you'll be included in 3 calls. They're all up for a replay if you happen to miss it or can't make the times. And we have an app that we've built so you can have access to all of this information in your back pocket at any time. So no excuses. People don't want to hang out in Facebook groups as much anymore. So the app's right there. If you're in line, if you're at the stoplight, which you're not supposed to be, but you could check out and see what's there. There's going to be courses you can download. Just many things to kind of get you motivated and stay in inspired action is really our main focus.
Oh, I love that. Stay in inspired action. That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for gifting that free month and for being on the show today. I appreciate your time so much, Jess, and all of the insight that you give. I always have some like aha moment when I talk to you. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I love that. I appreciate you too. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you guys soon.